So, good morning on this snow day. Group call on January 11th. So, um, yeah, we have a lot of snow here in North Carolina. It followed me down from Canada, and I'm sure that some of the people watching this later maybe had to adjust their workouts, or some people maybe not make it today. So, we'll chat a little bit today with the theme of being realistic with things and making adjustments. And then also, before I jump into that and forget what I was going to say about this, we can also, even if you're in tier one or tier two, if there's like something crazy that goes on, we can make some adjustments here and there. So always document everything in your training document, and then I can look back at it and we can make some adjustments. So if there's workouts that you didn't get to, make notes beside it, and we can accommodate for that. Let's roll. How are you ladies doing this morning? You already worked out?
No,
No.
no. I haven't left the house yet. She's probably not gonna drive in this mess. If we go, I'll have to go get her up.
No,
Right?
she can
Yeah,
come get.
and I don't blame you, because it's also, I don't really want to drive in this mess here either, because I
I
was,
see.
well, I'm not worried about the road, I'm worried about the people.
Yeah.
Um, because there was a dude that was driving 20, it had just started snowing. He was driving 25 miles an hour with his blinkers on.
Eek.
Ooh. And I was just like, dang it, if we come up on a hill, like, not that this is like actually icy or anything yet, but if it was icy and we were on a hill or something, like, this guy's gonna make the whole pile of cars get stuck.
Yes, yeah. Well, because you can't stop. I mean,
You
once you're
can't
going up
stop.
a hill, you don't stop. You'll be
You
fine.
got to go fast enough to keep the momentum. Not that
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
on this call for snow driving tips, but I don't know if you've ever like wrestled with somebody just for fun.
Not
I
in
don't
my
know.
adult life.
I imagine, I don't think either of you have wrestled with anybody competitively. What did you
No,
say?
I said
not
not in
her
my
adult
adult
life.
life.
Oh, but when you're like wrestling with somebody and trying to like control somebody's body, you can kind of feel like when you move too much and things get kind of loose, right? The wrestling makes a good example for the same kind of friction coefficient control for snow driving, um, in my mind, anyway. So
Yeah.
that same kind of thing, like sometimes people get scared and they like hit the brake or they coast to try to slow down and stuff like that. Even if you're going a little faster than you want to, you got to keep a little bit of traction with the road. So yeah.
Yes, you do.
Anyways,
Yeah, I'd be the panic person and hit the brake,
you grew up in
cause a
you spent a
wreck.
lot of time in Florida. You don't have to drive here.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. Living up in New England and then
No.
living in
Yeah,
Alaska and then living in Europe, it's like, you know, you had to drive in the snow. They didn't
you
shut
had to
stuff
drive in
down
the
'cause it
snow,
snowed.
and if you have to learn to drive in the snow, then like really well. Like right now, I'm watching the guy from the city fuck up the roads by plowing incorrectly.
Yes, you can't plow that mess. It's ice
Well,
underneath.
and if you are, you gotta the blade's got to be at a different angle than like I didn't know the shit before I moved up there, and all these old country farmer Canadian dudes showed up to help me with my driveway and the road around it, and a couple of them were like, "Your blade's angled wrong," and I was like, "What do you mean?" And they were like, and I was doing it the way that I remember seeing them do it here. It was wrong. It
Yeah.
makes it more icy.
Well, because it just packs it
It
instead
just
of like
packs it,
gets under it and scrapes.
Ah,
packs it, and then scrapes right across it, and just slick ass sheet of ice, like you just sanded it down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You want to actually put the blade as
yeah,
apparently.
yeah,
I thought you'd want it angled down like that. You
That'll
actually
gouge your
want it
blade
pretty
up.
much like that. And if you leave a little bit of shit, you leave a little bit of shit, but you don't pack it.
Yeah.
That's what, anyways, that's what Eldon told me when we had 3 fucking feet of snow. And, but yeah, it's an adventure.
Yeah.
Um, so are you planning to work out today, or planning not to?
Well, Dee, what do you think? We hadn't chatted yet this morning. I mean, I'd like to.
well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we probably can go after lunch. Yeah, I was looking at today's workout. So Josh, my old granny toe is definitely aggravated. I could not do excuse me, the all the hurdle box jumps yesterday.
Okay.
Just that landed on my toe. I think it's just inflamed because I guess just the intensity increase, I'm using my foot more, versus
Yep.
just everything we've done lately has just been flat foot, gripping the ground, where now it's back to that kind of flexing of the foot a little bit more. And I had this issue when I used to run a lot. It's not bad, but I definitely kind of had to stop the box jump because that landing on my toe shot of pain
But
through
she
the
did do
foot.
frog jump
So
instead.
I
That's exactly what I was gonna say to do.
I did some frog jump.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And there's a variation of a frog jump that works on like athletes' foot spacing for being in a staggered stance, like a
Okay.
so if you like a 2-point stance type thing where you're just like
Yeah. Let's say if you show me.
There you go.
I don't have enough space to get my whole body. So gonna be like that. And
Oh,
then
hang on. I lost y'all. See,
Oh, that's the there you
okay,
go.
there we go.
yeah. So from here, I'm not gonna do it right now because I'm pretty heavy and I don't want to land on my just I don't want to. But you just crouch and jump, and you would jump for height, and you would switch and land.
Okay.
Switch in the air as you land. I'll show
Okay.
you. I can jump on something a little.
That
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah.
But
I guess I
that's
think
like a
it's
small
just
jump variation. You shouldn't end up on your toe too much that way either, but it'll still have that like
yeah.
lateral firing pattern a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll carry more to the running that you do too.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
but
Yeah, that works. I just think we've just done. I think it's just aggravating. I did get a new pair of shoes too that I wore the day we had all the running. The shoes felt great on my feet. They gave me a lot of cush. But again, I think it's just I'm doing that a lot of that
Taking
movement
that
now.
in.
That's
Yeah.
just aggravating that joint a little bit. But I just figured I'll work through it. A lot of it's just probably building those muscles up around there. But those bone spurs have been there for 10 years. So,
well, yeah,
and they're
the
going to
thing
get
about-
inflamed, and it's cold. Yeah, arthritis.
yeah, you can do a lot of stuff for a joint by getting it stronger. But to be really honest, like it doesn't matter how strong the muscle gets, the bone spurs are going to be there if there's bone spurs.
Yeah, absolutely. They've been there for 10 years.
Yeah, you're not gonna get the muscle strong enough to crush some bone spurs. But
No.
But
keeping things sort of loose, I've noticed though, Josh, like it gets tight. Like if my Achilles is tight or my lower calf is really tight, that all connect. It all pulls down there. So I need to probably focus a bit on just keeping that loose in that area. I don't know. That seems aggravated because obviously running, those calf muscles get tight.
Right. I'm not gonna put it in tomorrow because it'll be snowy out probably still a little bit and icy. But on the days that you'll be at UA to work with that, we'll work on some sled drags that are loaded, so you can take the foot through that full range, but you don't have the impact.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And that way you can be a little bit more mindful about the mind muscle connection. There's a lot of little muscles in the feet to get strong, right?
Yeah.
And then also that little looks kind of like a whoopee cushion with ribbed, like a ribbed wood. Yeah, over at UA. That is to stand on.
Yeah.
As a balance thing. It needs a little bit of air in it, probably.
I got a pump in the car.
There you go. So we can do stuff on that too. To try to strengthen your foot. Doing some calf raises on that.
Okay.
Stuff like that. And if that's too much for you, like that's too unstable, you can just bring in like 2 beach towels and fold them up in a square and stand on top of those so it's a squishy surface.
Yeah.
Or I can see for those foam pads that I used to have at UA.
Yeah, that you took. We noticed they were gone.
Oh, you have you. We would have figured that out eventually.
Oh, we already noticed. I noticed the first day. I'm like, I took them blue pads.
Oh, those pads? I don't remember
Yeah,
those
those blue ones.
being gone.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're talking about using those one day. Okay.
Yeah. They were only like $7.
Yeah.
So I'll send you the link if you want to grab some of those. They're not actually
So like today, John, we have, oh, go ahead. Sorry. I think there's some lag. Today we have jump lunges.
We got a delay in it.
There he is. There's a delay. It's okay. Go ahead.
You go first. Ladies first.
Okay. So today, assuming G and I go, we have jump lunges. Obviously, I don't want to do that on my toe. Can I
do
just do reverse lunge? Or,
I would actually do those jumps that I just showed you there.
Okay, do those. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just super leg, right?
Yeah,
it is. But for me, I didn't sleep great last night. I mean, I could just feel the throbbing through my whole foot last night. So I'd like to let that rest a little bit today.
Yep. There's a thing that you may want to look into is a cream that you can put on it that's a healing peptide that you can put on transdermally. If you want to check out, there's a couple different brands of it. The one that I remember off the top of my head is 2717 is the brand name for one of them. Okay. But it's a GHK copper lotion.
Oh, okay.
Those are it's really good for like skin health and stuff too. So it'll make your feet on or the skin on your feet look really healthy and stuff too. Make it really healthy.
Okay. Okay, I'll look that up.
Yeah, it can have some systemic like anti-aging benefits too. So that's cool. But yeah, you can just put it on the area too, and it takes a couple weeks to start working when you put it on like that. But it works.
Okay, I'll look that up. Thank you.
Because I know that's been a stubborn thing. I mean, that bone spurs and other stuff going with that. That might be something that just it would be good to throw some other things at it to try to help with it too.
Yeah, like I say, I haven't really had an issue for a long time, but since we've just added in all the new stuff, so it's been a lot of toe drive things that have just aggravated it this week.
Yeah, and we'll pull back on the volume on some of the high impact stuff for you this week a little bit just to allow that to adapt. Because you didn't have too many problems with it. Even when we did like heavy yoke carries and stuff, you didn't really have any flare ups, right?
No, I didn't have any flare ups. It flared up a little bit when we did the DACA teams on the 31st. You remember, G? I took my old stinky shoe off and rubbed my foot. But then it was fine, and then it went away. And then I just yesterday, I'm like, oh, gee, I can't do this box.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to do something different.
That's a good call. If you're running yourself into the ground and you're hurting yourself, that's not tough, right? So
no, not at all. Not at all.
We can take care of that as good as we can anyway. I can't take the bone spurs off.
Yeah.
We'll do what we can for that.
No, you can't. I like to avoid any kind of surgery, but they're not that painful. They're just aggravated at this point in time.
You can put your red light directly on that too.
I did this morning. Yeah, I did that this morning. Sure.
Cool. Yep. Well,
everything else been feeling good though. I've enjoyed this past week. Workout, the switch.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah. So it's fun at least, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we enjoyed it.
Yeah, we've enjoyed it, and we've more people come up to us and like, y'all doing kind of thing. So good.
Well, it's more eye-catching stuff, right? For sure.
Yeah. I want to say, so I've taken all of the course of the DECA coaching thing, and it's funny because everything that it says in there, that I've been learning through there is everything that you have already said, over the past, I don't know, 4 years that we've been with you or 3 years that we've been with you or whatever, all of the little rants that you would have during our workouts when we were in person and stuff. Everything I'm doing in this coaching has reaffirmed every bit of that. So it's like, it all tends to make sense. I'm a type person that I have, almost like an eidetic memory. Like if I see something written, I can retain it. Numbers and stuff, if I see it, I can retain it. So I like to write down everything. I like to take notes on everything. But everything that I've listened to in that, it's like, yep, Josh said that. Yep, that's something Josh told me a long time ago. Yep, that's from Josh. Yep, I heard Josh say that before. Yep, all that, everything of that, all of that. And so it's good. So now I'm writing it and it helps me to hang on to that.
And it helps to have, I think that it really helps in a hands-on field to have a little bit of hands-on experience before you try to double back and connect the dots. And then you go back into like a refinement period where you get better at the practical application of it as you continue to connect more dots.
Yeah.
Because it's just one of those things that, like, same thing as like carpentry. Like, if you just straight up started reading about carpentry before you went, like, you do a lot better to just go hang out with some dude that's doing carpentry, and then after you've done that for a while, then go try to actually learn like hardcore how to do it, so that you're not totally unfamiliar.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. But it's good because everything does connect and circle back, because it talks about how to, write programs for people and things like that. And it's like, it's everything that I see you do, it's like,
and you already know all the vocab because it's been normal for you talking about it for a while too.
yeah.
And so you don't start off like a learning process, just like all these things that feel like buzzwords.
Yeah.
Quite as much. Like you can
Yes.
easy to read.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes good sense. So it's like I'm sure that you're a much better coach than anything that I could learn online.
I appreciate that. If there's anything that comes up that you're like, hey, Josh talked about that, but he said something different, and you're curious and you want to talk to me about it, you can hit me up for it. There's some stuff that people have different opinions on. There's some stuff that I'm wrong on, I'm sure. And there's some stuff that just changes with time, so one of us may just be referencing more recent information.
Sure.
So
I haven't run into that yet.
Yeah. Well, good.
So that's a good thing.
That's good. I'm pretty big on trying to stay as up to date as somebody can with stuff that's coming out new, in this age of so many new things coming out all the time. But usually if a organization, if I don't get pissed off listening to their stuff, then they're doing pretty good, because a lot of them are still referencing. And you'll see this when you get some of the other certifications that are, I guess you could say, more broadly like recognized outside of the DECA community and stuff like that too. Not that you can't train anybody with the knowledge that you got in a DECA. You don't even have to have a certification at all, technically. And I think all great. But like the CSCS and the tactical strength and conditioning one and those other ones, you'll kind of notice that to an extent, those are sort of just pay to play. So if you feel like you're getting a lot out of the educational portion of this DECA one, then that's a really good thing. Because some of the other ones, like ISSA is like really good on how to get people really strong and make them perform well. But as far as the understanding side of it, they're a little bit bro sciencey. So a lot of times people misconceptualize stuff. I'm making some broad sweeps right now, but and then to be quite honest, the National Strength and Conditioning Association, they're just a money grab. They just make you they'll always ramp up how many CEUs you need to keep your certification and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they're decent as laying a groundwork for stuff. But I actually think that those certifications are better for people that don't have a lot of practical experience with it. Maybe they've just went to college for it, but that wasn't really their thing. They just kind of needed to pick a major or something, So I think that really gives the groundwork to then move into the practical stuff with it. But I say that to just say, don't go sign up for a shit ton of them all at once. Probably pick what you like. Since y'all are starting to coach now, I would just pick the populations that you want to work with in your head and get certifications that are directly marketable to them. I won't even necessarily say applicable because you may learn something from somewhere else. So one of the most important things that a mentor told me was that we don't close our mind to where to pull things from. You know, he was training D1 athletes at UNC and he was actively pulling stuff from yoga sometimes. And, you know, he would pull stuff from, you know, Olympic throws training sometimes. He would pull stuff from boxing training for hand speed sometimes. You know, it didn't matter what it was. It was how can we make this the best, most engaging, and effective training we can make it. So,
well, one of our clients is my coworker, and she's a yoga instructor.
Yeah.
She's getting ready to go. She did her 200. She's getting ready to do her 300. So, I mean, I'm with her every day of the week. So I hear a lot of her verbiage and like talk to G. I mean, pulling some of her knowledge into what we do in training will be beneficial too, you know?
Yeah. And breaking some of her bad habits in yoga.
Yeah. Breaking bad yoga habits.
Yeah.
That's a whole different
extending of things.
You know?
Yeah.
It is. Yoga's not very scientific.
Yeah. I can tell some of the things that she would kind of be a yoga move is, we'll have to correct her. We'll get her in the right.
You can also just call it a different exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you can say, hey, this is a more strength and conditioning. Yeah, this is like a strength and conditioning variation of that.
Yeah. Well, even like the inchworm.
Well, it's like inchworm for inchworm. Down dog. She's going into a down dog.
Yeah, so she would get up in that position and then just relax, right?
Yes. And then cobra up, and it's like, okay, we're not going to do this one.
So for that, you would want to.
We're not doing this one.
So for that, you would want a cue that you don't want to go down until you feel a stretch in your hip flexors. You want to go down and make it feel like your core and your hips are catching you. And so you want to feel your lats, core, glutes squeeze together to brace that position.
Yeah.
So you drop down into a push-up position where you feel everything connect. And once you feel everything connect, you start walking back up. And if she asks why wouldn't I want to go into that flexibility part of it? You say because you're trying to, right now, you're not trying to improve joint mobility. You're trying to improve neuromuscular coordination. You're trying to improve joint stability. And you're trying to prepare yourself to handle loads.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's your physiological reason to give her. So.
Yeah.
And then
she'll improve quickly.
Yeah.
I feel like all three of them. We sent them a little video message the next day just to check in, see how they were doing. They were all excited to check in.
That's awesome.
Everybody seemed to be doing okay. One of them said the only thing that didn't hurt was her feet, so that was good. That was good, but we didn't kill anybody. And then we went yesterday. So what we've figured is on Fridays after our workout at UA, we'll plan the workout for the girls for Monday. So that way we can try things and see how they are and see if something's going to be too hard for them, something that we might think is easy. And so that way we can actually jump in and test out just to make sure that we don't want to hurt them, you know.
Yeah. And I would also, I would say that once you've been doing this for a while and like your mind kind of works like a Rolodex of things, like you can look at a movement and then that just sort of makes it click to think, okay, all these other ones are like that.
Yeah.
So I can roll through these different ones that are like, and you can kind of think like this one's the most like that. This one's the next most like, you can kind of think of it like that. Then and it sounds like y'all are getting there too, because y'all, when you do stuff on the fly because you have to change something or whatever, you usually make pretty common sense changes to it that make sense, even if they're not, because I got to flush out nuances. Even if they're not hypothetically like optimal, they're a pretty damn good choice. And I can definitely see the logic getting to it, and it's a solid reasoning behind it. and you're never going to always choose the exact optimal thing, right? It's always educated guesses in this. So not saying that as a critique either, just saying, but I would say that until you just kind of do that effortlessly a little bit, and just sort of automatically, that especially when you're kind of in the moment working with people, sometimes it's hard to get that same recall level, right? You probably like if you're trying to multitask, you're trying to explain something, they're telling you how something feels, you're trying to think, about what you're doing too, and it's just a little harder to process all of that information as well. When you're also trying to put more cognitive effort into rolling through those different exercises too, that you can switch things out with. So I would say a good plan when you do that on Fridays, and this is not something you'll have to do forever because it'll essentially be a learning tool going into this too, is that whenever you plan the workout, I would underneath each one, I would think of one level below and one level up. And it doesn't even necessarily it doesn't even necessarily for the level up, depending on what it is, it doesn't even necessarily have to be a different exercise, right? Like if you have dumbbell bench press, because you're gonna want to you do want to do some free weight stuff and some body weight stuff because the push-up variations are going to really teach the whole body to integrate, and they're going to teach the body to, the core has to lock in with everything else so that everything can move right. But when you do dumbbell work and stuff like that, then the shoulder stability is a lot higher. So a little bit of both.
I'm sorry, I got distracted by Parker.
Yeah, that's okay. But
sorry.
But on say you've got a plan to do like 3 sets of 10 with her for dumbbell bench that day, and the first 2 sets, or we'll say even the first set just looks like phenomenal, and you're like, oh, she's getting a lot better at this. Maybe you change it now and you're like, I lied to you, we were going to have 3 sets of 10, but we're actually going to have 1 set of 10 and 4 sets of 6 now, and you let her go up to a heavy set of 6. Whereas if you get down to that set of 10 and she's like, oh, my shoulder hurts today, this doesn't feel good on my shoulder, you could have it running through your mind like, okay, maybe I could bring her to a dumbbell floor press because that's going to allow the floor to absorb some of that force at the bottom, kind of like a box squat does. And it also allows you to keep your whole body straight. And so you can keep your spine in a straighter position, because sometimes bringing the feet down to the floor and the hips up into that full extension, some people don't squeeze their glutes properly. And so then the low back arches not the way that we want it to arch with tension through everything. And it ends up not allowing the right level of thoracic extension. So it ends up feeling shitty on their shoulders for no reason actually associated with the shoulder itself. But we can teach that shoulder girdle how to brace well if we have them lay on the floor and push their heels into the ground and squeeze their glutes and whole body's tense, kind of like a Larson press would be, just on the floor, because you don't want them to fall off the bench, right? Or if you kind of want to shoot a little bit more or we'll say if there is like a little bit of a catch in the shoulder, because around 70 to 80% of people walking around have torn labrums. And if they're not very strong yet, and there's not the joint stability for them to not really notice or be affected by it sometimes. And so if there's a tear like directly back on the labrum on the back side of there, then maybe a flat bench hurts because it's pushing right back into that. But maybe you can bring them up to an incline or a decline and it doesn't hurt anymore. So you can make it an incline or a decline over there by just throwing a 25-pound bumper plate under one end of the bench.
Yep.
You can lay on one side for incline, one side for decline. Yep. And it makes it a short, like just a small change in the angle.
Yep.
So.
Well, that's cool. We did incorporate the floor press this coming week. So we're adding that floor press in for them because bracing is not somebody starting out new. And even with us, I mean, we were seasoned kind of a little bit when we came to you, but bracing is a new concept to most women, I think.
It is.
I too. I mean, I don't know.
It's just people in general. They're
keeping anything tight. Yeah. It's like I felt myself saying,
it looks like they're being reckless. It looks like you're watching somebody drive too fast on the snow and they're like, "Whoa, what the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah. Yeah.
When they
No
just
question at all
Yeah.
on nothing.
yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
some things that are good to help with general bracing, um, farmers carries, but
Mhm.
but you don't want to push them heavy enough that they're going to get hurt. But you also can't push them light enough that they can get away with doing it slack.
Yes. So what would
Right.
you start
Yeah.
somebody out brand new at a farmer's carry? Like 25 pounds? Is that too much in each
It
hand?
depends on the person, you know.
Yeah.
I've had ladies come in and grab, you know, that have never worked out before. That are somehow a hoss that have come in and grabbed 60s and walked around with it, you know.
Oh,
Okay.
wow. Okay.
I've had other people that have been, you know, pretty active and they ran and they lifted weights and they did stuff like that pretty much their whole life since they were in high school. And they come in and they struggle with the 40s the first time,
Yeah.
30s, you know. So it really just depends. I would say the chick that's doing yoga and stuff, you should probably be able to walk around. I would almost say that you need it to be. What's a good way to explain a rule of thumb? So, you know how when you do an RDL is a good one too to teach people to brace properly. A lot of times I
Yeah.
like to pair that up with a hip thrust because it makes them use the hips on the hip thrust.
Yeah.
And cue people to feel their core on that hip thrust too. The core and glutes connect.
Yep.
Once they get, don't even worry about the reps. Once they get 3 to 5 reps in a row, consecutive, that you can see their glutes and core connect, then say you're done. Get up, and go to RDLs, and bring them over to RDLs, and that helps them brace a little bit better there too. But as a general rule of thumb for the farmers carries, if it's not around the same weight that is heavy enough for you to think about how to brace right on a RDL, then it's going to be really hard for people that don't have that skill to brace with a lightweight on farmers carries. I mean, now y'all can stand up and pretend you have a weight in your arms and brace, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But
Yeah.
Most
but
people cannot.
that's a lot of people can't, right? A lot of people they pick something up, and they're like, "Ooh," the first time, and they're like, "Shit," and then they grab it again, and then because they know that they have to, right?
Yep.
So you kind of have to get it heavy enough that they have to pick it up right.
I like that.
And
Okay.
and you know everybody's different with where they're strong at. So you know you may have a situation where somebody responds perfectly to farmers carries, and that's like the ticket for it. And then you might have somebody else that maybe that's not going to work for them. Maybe as soon as they take a step, they're just off because things down the chain are very weak too.
Yeah.
Now the yoga chick probably not because she's probably doing isometrics and weird positions and shit.
Yeah.
But but a lot of other people that would probably be the case. And in that case, you'd want to back it up to doing like just a rack carry, holding the weights out front here because you can't slouch on that, right?
Yeah.
You can do a rack carry,
Right.
but still sloppy with that. Bring it all the way back to just a front rack hold. So have them set up like a front squat, and just you can set the rack, set the pins, and put it on the pins inside the rack, not outside the rack, so they can't fuck up and fall. And you just set it up an inch or two lower than where they're going to be standing with it, and so then they just get under it, and then they just stand up and just hold it for time like a standing plank.
Yep.
And that's a really
Put it back
good
down.
thing to put in for their core movement after like a warm up or something like that to
Yep.
build a foundation.
Yep.
Because the other thing to think about is that the more skilled you are, the less work you can handle if you're at the same level of physical preparedness, like in terms of muscularly. The less skill that you have, the more work you can handle because you don't have the same level of mechanical efficiency. So
Sure.
you're not able to put the same loads on things.
Yeah.
So, you know, like somebody that's really, really, really good at squats, if they do one heavy ass fucking set of 10 that's max effort, they're trashed. And doesn't mean they're out of shape necessarily if they're phenomenal at squats. But if somebody's, you know, a relative beginner or intermediate, they can do a really hard set of 10 and they can rest 10 minutes and do it again, or 5 minutes and do it again, right? So that's something to consider too. Like these ladies, volume wise, can handle a lot more volume than their level of GPP would suggest if you're comparing it to really high skilled populations.
Makes
And
sense.
I'm not saying hammer the shit out of them and make them do German volume training that's like 10 sets of 10 on stuff. But um, but I am saying that like for their core stuff, especially if they're only seeing you a couple times a week, you can go like pretty hard on it. And you can load that up like pretty heavy farmer's carry, a heavy suitcase carry, a heavy rack carry, just heavy rack holds. And you can pair that stuff up in a sequence of like more precise core stuff too, so that they kind of get both sides of that. So that sort of fast tracks their learning with it too. So like for just a heavy ass rack hold for like 3 sets of 15 seconds and pair that up with something that's from the side angle, whether that's a side plank or a suitcase carry or whatever, and then pair that up with
Okay.
either a plank or some dead bugs. And I mean, they're gonna text you the next day and be like, "Fuck you."
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but that's a really good
So
way
that
of
would be what we would do
integrating
as
all that stuff
extended
together.
warm up, right?
Yeah. Well, that would be like after like
Yeah.
a general warm up. So like you warm up a little bit
Yeah,
and then go
like
in.
you've done with us.
Yep. 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 Basically right at the same, like kind of categorically at the same spot. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
And
We've talked
that
about that.
overall structure, I'm sure you've seen this a little bit other places now too, but that overall structure is relatively similar regardless of what the goal is. That you're going to mobilize, stabilize, prime, perform.
Right.
Right. Okay.
So
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've made us some progress, I think, just by talking things through, and we think alike. You know, we've got the same ideas and the same thinking alike, which helps a
you
lot.
and D
You
or you
know,
and the clients?
well, me and D
Oh,
about
yeah.
what we're going to
Yeah.
do next. So we're thinking about the program in the right way, I think.
I think you are
Yeah.
too.
And we think and we talk it out. Now, sometimes we're saying the same thing, but we're just getting there in a different route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it works out good.
Yeah.
Is my video frozen?
Josh is frozen.
Huh?
Oh, I don't
It
look
is
frozen to
frozen?
me, but
You looked frozen for a
it
second.
looks like
Okay, I
it
thought
looks like
mine was
Jan
frozen.
put
I'm like,
her hand over her
what
face.
am
So
I
I was
doing?
actually leaning in
Right, seeing
to
what
see
I'm
like,
looking.
is she covering her mouth? What's she doing?
Well, there we go. I stopped it and
There we
started.
go.
I had to reboot, that's all.
Yeah. I think Zoom is going to be kicking us off here in about a
Yeah,
minute. So,
because we got a minute left.
So, um, I guess
What are you doing today?
I'm heading over to my aunt's after this, and then I'm going to head from there to my grandpa's house.
Nice.
We're going to all go to the same place, but my aunt doesn't walk around too well in the snow
Yeah.
either. And so my two aunts are going to meet me at my aunt's house. Then the other aunt that can move around a little better might ride over to my grandpa's house with me.
That'll be nice.
Oh, enjoy.
Yeah, thanks.
That'll
What
be
time are
great.
you working out at Tribe tomorrow?
I don't know. I guess everybody normally goes about 11 now, it seems like.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm going to see what time Isaac's going too. Doran was wanting to try to have breakfast or something tomorrow,
Yeah.
and my grandpa he said that 90% likely he's not going to want to go out of the house for breakfast in the morning.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Do you want me to bring breakfast over?" And he said, "Well, you can bring breakfast over and eat it." He said, "But Sunday is my Cheerios day when I'm home." So
Oh.
We still have Cheerios with him.
Oh, cute.
he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm not gonna." I was like, "You want me to bring you something?" And he was like, "No, that's my Cheerios day."
Oh,
Oh.
I love that. I love that. Well, we'll probably swing by Tribe tomorrow just to say hello, but we'll probably
Yeah.
work on